Hello, everybody. I am Nirupam from Bluewater Photo and Travel, as well as the Underwater Photography Guide. Today, we're going to be talking about kind of one of those lesser-known destinations of the Philippines, but an incredible destination. It's called Dumaguete, and it's one of those places where you can find every critter that you want when you're diving. So that's what makes it so special. I'm actually leading a workshop there this summer, June 29th to July 7th. And the goal for that workshop, I'm going to try to make it special. We want to look for blue ring octopus, mandarin fish, whale sharks, and turtles, everything that you would want to see in the Philippines. Now, Scott.
Hi everyone, I'm Scott, and I'm the founder of Bluewater Photo and Bluewater Travel. We're talking about Dumaguete, Philippines, and particularly my favorite resort in the whole world, Atmosphere Resort. I've stayed at least a total of 6 weeks there over the last few years. It is one of the nicest, most luxurious resort I've ever been to. And that's why I'm super excited to talk to you guys about this resort. Whether you like critters or not, I mean, this is just the most amazing place to bring friends, to bring family, to go as a couple, bring non-divers. There's just so many incredible things about this. And when you either book our group trip or your private trips through Bluewater Travel, we're able to get you special rates and really get you sorted out, flights, everything. So that's what we do at Bluewater Travel. We're running a group trip that Nirupam's running, and we also hope to book your own trip to Atmosphere Resort. And just trust me, I'll explain during the presentation. I'm going to give why you need to go there. But Nirupam, you want to start the presentation?
Yeah, definitely.
And I will talk through it.
Okay.
By the way, it's great to see everyone on the call. Andrew, Jean, Belinda, Andrew, Aquatic Explorer, Stu, thanks everyone for coming. I hope to get questions from you guys. So you can see that they have a stunning pool. There's great rooms. The food is top notch. And what you see on the dives is top notch. So, okay, next slide.
Okay.
Nirupam, did I lose you? There we go. Okay, so to get there, you fly into Manila, and then you take another, say, 45-minute flight to the island of Negros Oriental, also known as Dumaguete or Dauin. So this island has lots of names, but basically, it's a quick flight from Manila. It's about a 25 to 30-minute car ride to the resort, and then you're there. And all the diving is going to either be along the shore, you can see in the map, or it's about a 25 to 30-minute boat ride over to Apo Island, which you also see in the map. And the resort is right on the water. And the nice thing about the resort is whatever you're doing, like you're eating or you're at the pool, you're actually seeing the ocean, which is not the case at a lot of places. So the ocean's like right in front of you, which is just great. And it really feels like a resort because you can see that it's flat. So you just see everything around you the whole time you're there. It's just a really nice feeling. Okay, next slide. Okay, so again, I think this resort has a perfect layout. You can see in the photo the bar where you get your drinks, your smoothies, and then there's like 3 pools. But the great thing about the pool is that whenever you're there, they have service. So they'll come up, they'll take your drink order, your food order. The restaurants are also right on the water. There's 2 restaurants. And there's also a spa. You can see in the lower photo, there's a spa that is just, the spa is mind-blowing because it just feels like you're transported to another world. There's all these streams and babbling brooks in it. So just being there, you won't want to leave. And if you bring like a spouse or a friend, they're gonna love you for life. So next slide. All right, so they have lots of room types. The basic room is really nice, but they have so many nice room types. So let's see what other room types they talk about. But the deluxe suite is really nice. The premium suite's a little bit better. They have these amazing, every suite has this amazing, huge outdoor bathroom that is just phenomenal. I mean, it's just so luxurious and roomy, and everything in there feels like 5 star. It's just great. The outdoor bathroom is private. I just say it's outdoor because it's not air conditioned, so it's a little warmer than the room if you keep your room cold. Next. All right, so the pool suites are new, and these are amazing. All these pictures, yes, Genie, are Atmosphere Resort. Everything about this is going to be diving into Dumaguete, and it's also going to be talking about Atmosphere Resort in Dumaguete. So the pool suite is just amazing. Basically, you have your own private pool. And if you look at the cost, I think like a regular suite is 2,400 for a week for our trip with diving, and the premium pool suite is only like 2,850 or something. It's not that much more, and it's like 10 stars. I mean, these rooms and pool is just amazing. I would not hesitate for a second to spend the extra money on this pool suite. Yeah. Next.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah, near. I don't know how if we can, yeah, keep going. We can get a little faster with yeah. So the family suite is actually where I usually stay in with my kids. The family suite is awesome for kids. They also have apartments. You can keep going. And they have penthouses. Keep going. A lot of amazing room choices. They have 2 restaurants. The food is beyond amazing. I cannot say good things enough. The food, it's international menu. You're sitting right outside, right by the ocean, and the service is amazing. And you can see everything being cooked. Yeah, it's everything you would expect at a high-end restaurant. And the 2 restaurants are near each other. It's just one is reservation only with a more special like steak menu. The desserts are great. Yeah, the great food is why I just keep
What
coming
time are
back
you
year
leaving
after
tomorrow?
year.
Sorry, what?
What time are you leaving tomorrow morning?
Uh,
All right, next. The spa, I'm not a huge spa person, but I always go to the spa. I always go to the Sanctuary Spa. The masseuses are amazing. The price is reasonable. And again, it's not like a normal spa where you're just in some little room. You feel like you're in a whole new resort with like all these like rivers. It's just mind blowing. You have to see it. Keep going, Nirupam. They have a space for yoga. Keep going. I've never done anything with this slide, so we're gonna keep going. Nirupam, is there a reason why it's so hard takes so long to move to the next slide?
I think it's just delayed for some reason.
Yeah, keep going.
Do you see Dauin?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So the dive sites along the coast are generally like 10 minutes away, And this is where you're going to see every critter imaginable: frogfish, mandarin fish, seahorses, mimic octopus, flamboyant cuttlefish, mantis shrimp. Um, and honestly, one of the best things about the resorts, it's one of the only resorts in the world that has like really good snorkeling and a good dive site right in front of the resort. But like, if the snorkeling is literally in calm water, 15 feet right off the beach, and I really have never been anywhere else that actually has good snorkeling, because for good snorkeling, you need a lot of fish and coral and really shallow water. And atmosphere has that, and I've never really seen it anywhere else. But the macro diving is amazing right along the coast. Next slide, So the other place you dive is a 25 to 30-minute boat ride. It's called Apo Island, and that's where it's all wide angle. It's all coral reefs, huge school of jacks, huge corals, millions of turtles, anemones, everything you would expect at a coral reef. There's walls, there's sea snakes, um, a lot of reef fish. So I generally split up my diving between the macro and critter sites, and then some days I would go on the boat to Apo Island and just mix it up and just get a lot of variety that way. So it's really diverse diving for both coral reef and macro critters. Okay, let's keep going. You can keep going. So I think I've covered all this. It's easy to get to from Manila. Is that the end of it?
Yeah, that's the end of the
So
presentation.
the one other thing I will mention is the whale sharks. There is an amazing whale shark experience that you would do as a day trip. Actually, I like to do it so I'm back for lunch. And you take a ferry over to Cebu, and you're in like super clear water, and it's these giant full-size 45-foot whale sharks swimming under you. It's really something. So, like I said, I've been there many times. Nirupam is running a group trip there at the end of June. But what does everyone think? What's your initial impressions? What's your questions? Let's just sort of go around and hear from everyone. Who wants to start? Andrew, we'll go with you.
Oh, I wanted a bit more about the diving, less about the resort.
Yeah,
I didn't feel I got much about the boats or any of the logistics. That disappoints me a bit.
we're just getting started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what do you want to know? I've done so many dives there. So there's
Well, how does it work for photography? How does it, I don't know, a bit more explanation about the details of the diving. It's
Sure.
interesting to me.
Sure. So they have an amazing camera room, and you basically get your own personal locker space. So when you go there and they bring your dive equipment there, you have your own space where you can set up your wetsuit and your fins, your mask. And every morning there's a dive schedule, and they'll bring all your gear out onto the boat. And they'll bring your camera out too if you want. And the camera room is super nice. It's air conditioning, you got a huge space. And if you're going to do one of the local dives for macro, it's like smaller boats. There's usually like 4 divers per guide. And you walk in the boat, at the beach. There's no dock. And the dive sites are really close. And it's just full service. They bring everything back for you. They have huge rinse tanks. And if you're going to go to Apo Island, they have much bigger boats where they bring like a lot of food and towels. And because it's just like an ocean crossing. So on the bigger boats, it's really nice, smooth crossing. And it's just great coral reef diving. Again, there's a lot of sea snakes, reef fish, schools of jacks. So everything about the dive operates.
How does the diving work? Like, is it some included, or do you pay each dive? Like,
So
how does it
if
financial work?
okay, so if you're on I'll give you the two scenarios. If you're on our group trip, there's 15 dives included, but they also have a 20 dive package. They have an unlimited dive package. So it's very much configurable. And obviously we would figure out, if you wanted to say book it yourself through us, we'd figure out how much diving you wanted to do. And generally they offer 5 dives a day. So 2 dives in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and then there's a Mandarin or night dive. So you can pretty much dive whenever you want. I mean, the resort is really service oriented, and it's all based on the customer. It's all based on the customer. So
Are most people photography or a few? How does that work?
are you talking about the guests at the resort?
Correct. Or on your trip? I don't know how it works.
Well, the trip is going to be at the end of June, and having run this trip 3 times, generally we get some people who are doing photography, we get some people who just want to dive, some people who just want to go just because it's such a nice resort, and they might do a few dives. So it's really a mix. And
Okay.
generally the people more serious about photography will be with one guide, and people are split up. But it's generally quite a mix of people every time I run the trip.
Okay. Okay.
And for the photography, we have a free daily workshop too, which is really useful. So if you don't feel like you're much of a photographer, it's always nice to kind of jump into, and you can really go at your leisure to get an idea of just camera settings or what's good for the location too.
Oh, okay. All right.
And right here, I'm just going through some of the photos that we that are from diving in Dumaguete. So as Scott mentioned, there's a good portion of it is muck diving and critter diving, but there's also a good portion that's reef diving. So it can really be split. And what my plan is for this trip that we're gonna have in the summer is to find some of the highlights of the Philippines. So we want to go for turtles, we want to go for blue ring octopus, rhinopias if we can find them. Those can be harder sometimes. And mandarin fish, and whale sharks. So those are kind of our main critters that we're looking for, as well as these flamboyant cuttlefish that you can see here. And those are really cool on night dives. You can see them hunting, and they're really charismatic and change color. So that's pretty neat.
Okay.
Now,
Oh, great.
that said, like if you go on Nirupam's trip this summer, and Nirupam says today we're going to be seeing turtles, and you feel like doing something else, that's fine. Like we can configure it so you can get your own boat or go with a different guide or something else. So it's very flexible.
Mm.
Were there any other questions about the diving, Andrew, from you or anyone else about the dive operation?
I had questions. Are there any wall dives?
Yes. So Apo Island is a big island, and there's probably like 10 or 12 different sites on that island. So a couple of the sites are really nice walls. The top of the walls at 35 to 40 feet, and I'd say the bottoms are like 90. So yeah, there's a couple nice walls there.
And is the muck diving like black sand diving, or is it like diving under a pier with garbage?
I haven't seen any garbage. There are some sites that are black sand. There's some sites that are white sand. So when we say muck, it's more, there's not actual muck or garbage. It's more that it's just macro critters. But there's also a lot of like reef and rubble. So by rubble, I mean like small patches of coral reef. So you'll still have like a decent amount of fish and eels and mantis shrimp at a lot of these macro spots, but you'll also have a lot of crabs and nudibranchs and pretty much all the creatures you're seeing in this slideshow. That's what you find on the macro sites, but they're a little bit more interesting than a standard black sand site where there's like nothing. So for me, they're enjoyable even if you're not doing like serious photography.
And do you have a picture of the dive boats?
Yeah, we do have a picture of the dive boats. I can pull one up.
We'll try to pull them up. They have quite a few. Again, there's smaller ones and there's some larger ones.
Oh, okay, here we go. So yeah, here are the dive facilities.
So this is a small boat. This is the smallest boat that would be used for like a small group doing. This is a larger boat that'll go over to Apo Island. This is a camera room. Aerial view of the boats. Another view of some of the dive boats. I think they have like 5 boats, but again, the smaller boats are really nice and convenient for doing some quick trips to the local macro sites. And then if you're going to do a longer 2 or 3 dive trip to Apo Island, the big boat is really great and comfy for a smooth ride across the crossing.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'll just keep asking questions.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. No, that's what this is for. That's why I told Andrew we were just getting started with getting into the resort. The initial presentation was just to get us warmed up.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
on the smaller boats, if you have large cameras, is there someplace set aside in the boats where the cameras are placed so that no one is stepping on them?
I mean, I have a huge camera and I've been on the boats many times and they're very used to photographers with big cameras. The staff are really well trained. So they don't like have a section like literally walled off, but the boat has lots of room where we never had a problem with getting the cameras sort of away from everyone. There was lots of room for it.
All right, and then when those boats come into shallow water, are you walking a plank to get up on the boat?
Yes, there are planks. There are some planks. There's usually 2 people to help you up and down. They'll take your camera up and down. But yes, there are planks.
All right, and they're moving all of your dive gear to and from the boat?
Correct. I have had a lot of people on the trip who are not good with walking, bad ankles, can't carry stuff, and the staff always does a great job of helping people on and off the boat. They're used to all kinds of clientele, and I've not seen anyone have a problem. The planks are not super steep. It's quite manageable.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the turtles here. They're kind of the highlight of Apo Island. There's a lot of turtles.
Yeah, Kathleen, did you have any other questions about the dive operation or the cameras?
So what time is the first dive in the morning usually?
So we can have it when we want, but generally we would meet at around 8 o'clock. And yeah, start suiting up. It'll be on the schedule, but we do have some flexibility because we're running a group there, so we can make it a little earlier or later, but there's plenty of time to get breakfast if you want.
So you do 2 dives and then come back to the resort?
If you're going to Apo Island, it's 2 dives and then come back. If you're doing the local sites, you do have the option of coming back after each dive if you wanted to, because they're pretty close by. So there's lots of times that I've come back after 1 dive.
Okay, and on the pictures we're seeing that are like large schools of fish, were those all at Apo?
Yes, the large school of jacks is at Apo, 100%.
And we'll get to choose when we want to go to Apo too. So depending on how the group is feeling, who's into wide, who's into macro, we'll definitely get some time at Apo Island.
Yeah, and that said, if someone wanted to, if Neuropum said, "Hey, I want to go to this place today," and someone for some reason didn't want to, like, it's not like you're stuck with whatever Neuropum wants to do. Like,
yeah.
That said, like
And is the
super
reef
customer
seeing,
oriented, and he's gonna want to do what everyone wants to do.
yeah, so is the reef we're seeing underneath the turtle typical of the Apo reef structure?
The underneath the turtle, that is typical of where the turtles are. So there's sort of like this large flat area at
Yeah.
the top of the reef. That's great for turtles, and it all looks like that. But then once you get to the top of the wall and you get to other areas, it's quite different. And there's a lot more coral and anemones and fish. This is sort of where the turtles are. And it's like 25 feet deep. And yeah, I've got some of my best turtle shots ever in that area.
Pretty close to diving here.
I couldn't hear that. You were breaking up. Maybe you can ask again or ask me in the chat.
How deep to dive here? Depth? Depth of typical dive, did you hear me?
Is this Stu or Andrew?
That's okay.
Maybe you can ask it in the chat because I'm only hearing every other word.
Yeah, we have a chat at the bottom where you can write any questions and we'll see them too. Scott, did you want to talk a little bit about the mandarin fish dives? I think those are kind of an interesting, unique experience as well.
Yeah, but whoever was asking the question again, you were really breaking up. The connection wasn't good, but if you just click on the chat button, we'll see the question. So the mandarin fish dive is done at dusk. It's very close to the resort. It's just 10 minutes away. It's a big area. There's lots of mandarin fish, and I've gotten all my best mandarin fish photos there. It's really something special. It's something everyone should see once. They rise up in pairs right when the sun sets, and they rise up for like 3 seconds, and then boom, they split away and they leave eggs, and it's really cool.
And is that on an open reef as opposed to under a pier?
All of these are open reefs. There's no pier there that we dive under, so we don't do any pier dives. It's all open reef. Andrew, you were asking the typical dive, what depth?
Yeah.
I would say that for the nearby dives with the macro subjects, it's typically going to be between 30 and 60 feet. There are some things down to 70 or 80 if you wanted to go down that deep, but you don't need to. And then at Apo Island, generally the turtles are more shallow at say 25 feet. And then the school of jacks can sometimes be a little deeper. Sometimes you need to get to 70 or 80. And then there's a great sea snake area where most of the sea snakes, I'd say, are between 40 and 60 feet. So it varies, but you know, it's all at manageable depths.
Okay.
Yeah. Again,
After you buy the trip, what are the extra charges to do things like go to Apo or be with the whale sharks?
So if on our trip that we're running, there's no extra charge for Apo. So Apo's included. The reason there's an extra charge for whale sharks is because it's quite a ways away, and there's permits involved, and there's a ferry, and you have to be driven. So it's more of an excursion.
Are the whale sharks around all year?
Yes, they're there all the time. They're actually fed by the fishermen, which is a little controversial, but I firmly believe if they were not fed there and protected, they'd be all dead by now. So that's why I don't have a problem with it. And it feels like it might be a little hokey or crowded experience, but once you're in the water and you're looking at the whale shark, it's amazing. It's amazing. They're huge and they're right in front of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then
Yeah.
do they limit the number of people in the water at a time?
For the dive or the whale shark?
Whale sharks.
The whale shark dive is crazy, okay? It's a crazy day. There's a lot of people there. There's hundreds of people. There's a lot of boats. And you just have to ignore the craziness, and you will have your own area and your own whale shark. And once you block out what's going on other places, it's going to be amazing. It's your moment. So we will have our own boat with a very small number of people, and we'll get in. And we'll have our own whale shark in our own area, but there's going to be a lot of other boats with their own whale sharks. So it's pretty crazy experience from the amount of people there, but our own area will be calm, and you can just be right next to all these whale sharks for a long time. It's completely worth it. Yeah.
That's right. I'm wondering about getting pictures without a bunch of people with crazy body positions.
I've done it several times. Sometimes there's a lot of people in a photo, but I've always been able to get photos with no one in it, because people are in a circle. So if you're going in certain directions, there's no one there. So it works out. It's not like a free for all where everyone's just everywhere. You're in a constrained circle. So the whale sharks are more, it's a half circle. So the whale sharks are like in front of the half circle. So in one direction, it's always clear. There's never people behind the whale shark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell that I've been with whale sharks in Mexico?
I think it's going to be better than that. That's a little different. The nice thing is you don't have to swim to the whale shark. You don't have to chase them. You don't have other boats with all these people chasing the same whale shark. It's very calm. You're just in one area. The whale shark comes right to you. It's completely different than Mexico.
And how much extra is that to do that excursion?
There's a mistake on the website. The website says it's $199, but it's actually $99, and I'm going to change that tonight.
Okay. And do they go every day, or is it only certain days a week?
I mean, we'll arrange it to go. So it depends. There's a minimum number of people. So we're going to try to go as a group on this trip, but if you wanted to go again, we'll arrange it for another day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does the resort have nitrox?
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, I think nitrox is included for free on this trip. Yeah.
Thank you.
If everyone's up for it,
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Henry, I hear you.
Are people typically choosing macro or wide for the day? Or do they switch between dives? What happens typically?
So if generally people will shoot wide angle if they're going to Apo Island and you're going for 2 or 3 dives. So if you go to Apo Island, you're going to go with your wide angle setup, and then you're good until you come back, either before lunch or after lunch. And then for all the other dives, people usually shoot macro. So it's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of changing, and you'll know the night before. So yeah.
Okay.
Is there much coral bleaching on Apo Island?
I mean, we talk to customers every day who are literally going to everywhere in the world. Any given day, we have people in every country diving through our company, and there's a lot of coral bleaching in the Caribbean. I haven't heard of any in the Philippines.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
If you have like 4 people that you came with, that you're all photographers, you're used to diving together, is it possible to I'm trying to think of how to nicely say this. We like to dive what I call glacially slow. We in a whole dive for 70 minutes, we might only go 200 feet. But we're looking for critters, we're taking our time, we're getting the shots. And if we find a dive guide that we really like, that's willing to go that slow, which many of them are not, and is a good critter finder, we'd like to keep that person on our dives for the whole week, or 2 weeks, or 3 weeks. Is that possible?
I think, Jeannie, that you have found your place. So I'm the same way. I will go with friends. We have the same exact need. We want a good guide who's going to go slow. That's the specialty of this place. You won't have a problem. You will, if you like a guide, you can keep them. They'll go as slow as you want. They're trained to find critters. It's completely different than how the guides might be in the Caribbean or Mexico or Fiji. The guides at the resorts at pretty much most places at Philippines and Indonesia, not all, but a lot of them that we go to, that's their specialty. And you will be very, very happy. I can promise you. That need is be very easy to take care of.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And so are most people shooting super macro on these, or is this Nikon 105 or Sony 90 territory?
I have all those lenses. I do it all, and I will say that it's any of these dives, you can choose your preference. So you can go super macro. There's going to be some super macro creatures, or you can go regular macro.
Hey, what is super macro?
Super macro is when you have an extra magnifying glass at the end of the lens. So instead of taking a photo of something maybe 2 inches or 3 inches across, you're photographing something maybe a half an inch or 3/4 of an inch. So it's just going for a little smaller item. Some of the shrimps and crabs and nudibranchs are only an inch or half an inch long. So a super macro setup is optimized for those.
Okay.
But if you don't have a super macro setup, there's plenty and plenty of things to see on literally every minute on every dive. So yeah.
Is Apo Island a marine reserve?
Yes.
How
Absolutely.
long has it been preserved?
Quite a while. Berlinda, do you know how long it's been reserved for?
Yeah, it's been reserved for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Nearly
Thank
30
you.
years. Yeah.
Long time.
Great, thank you.
It's really great. It's pristine. I love it. It's just so full of coral and fish, and it's not like Raja Ampat, which is the pinnacle of coral reef diving. That's another level, but it's really good.
Do people ever go on their own macro diving?
When you mean like without a guide, or you mean with a private guide?
Or like without a buddy, maybe? I don't know. Like sometimes you're going way slower than people.
I
There's a
mean,
conflict.
generally, if you're on a macro site, you're not covering a lot of ground. The divers will be spread out. And if someone runs out of air before someone else, you'll go up early. So you're treated like an adult, if you want to be away from everyone a little bit and you're taking a subject, no one's gonna like yell at you or scold you. This isn't the Caribbean where you have to like stay 10 feet from the dive master. You just need to be responsible. And does that make sense?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Mhm.
Great. Anyone else? Jeannie, Henry, Andrew, Kathleen, Aquatic Explorer, any more questions? I love talking about this place.
So the total cost of something like this, you're saying those prices you're saying doesn't include it, right?
Say that again, Andrew. I heard.
Just trying to understand cost for like a little bit more details. Like you showed us a bunch of rooms. Are most people staying in the simple rooms or the fancy rooms?
So people generally on a trip like this, some people stay in, there's no simple room, all the rooms are nice, but some people will go for the regular room, some will go for the penthouse, some will go for the pool suite. So it's really up to you. But if I bring up the pricing for our group trip, what I have here is if you're getting sharing a room with someone, it's $23.99 for the week, not including airfare, but includes all food, 15 dives and nitrox and Apo Island and a lot of other stuff that's listed on the website. And then the other room types are just a little bit more. The premium full suite is $28.99. So if you're like going with like a wife or a partner and you want like something romantic, like the premium pool suite, don't even hesitate to get it. If you're just going with friends or yourself, you probably don't need it, and the regular suite is just fine. Again, they're really nice. But there's quite a few room options.
Okay.
I hope
So it's
I
about-
answered your question.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
What kind of tips is the resort looking for at the end of the trip?
The tipping is completely up to you. They have a tip box. It's whatever you feel. If you want to give 5 or 10%, it's up to you. It's not expected, but it's always appreciated, and it's distributed to the staff. So. Yeah. Go ahead, Andrew.
You look places in the world. Is it, I have a pricing typically cheaper than the Caribbean experience. How does one look at diving worldwide? Where's to it? Not too hard a question.
No, I only heard half of it. I only heard the second half. Can you try again? You just have a bad connection.
Oh, I'm saying if one compares places in the world, some are going to be cheaper and less attractive versus others. Where does this fit into? Is this one of the premier places, or is this a middle? Or is that a hard question?
As the owner of Bluewater Travel, I can choose to bring my family anywhere in the world, and for all of our
Right.
family vacations, I've chosen to come to this place. The reason is because I think it has the best combination of quality and sort of luxury and great food and great diving, and my kids love it. They don't want to leave. Not everyone can afford the plane ticket, the $1,000 plane ticket. Not everyone can take off 9 or 10 days. So a lot of people will go closer. They'll go to the Caribbean. But like, if you have a choice of where you go, like, again, like Fiji, Indonesia, Philippines is like the best diving and resorts in the world. Like, there's no reason to go anywhere else.
Oh, okay, it's not clear. Okay.
Yeah. It's really great. Yeah.
And do most people, I guess, bring their own camera, but you get a wetsuit and get some equipment there? How does it work? How much equipment do you
So
have to
you
bring?
can get you usually want to bring you can get any equipment you want there. So they have fins, mask, wetsuit, BCD, regulators. So whatever you have, you bring, but they have anything you don't have. So
Okay.
it's completely up to you. For me personally, I bring a 3 mil full wetsuit, mask and fins and a dive computer, and then I use their BCD and regulator. That's what I do.
Oh, okay.
Which airline do you like to fly from Manila to Dumaguete?
You can take either Cebu Air or Philippine Air. Sometimes for Philippine Air, the connections and the luggage transfer can be a little bit better. But honestly, my staff, you know, we have like several agents and they deal with this like on a daily basis. So they probably have some updated information for you. And that's whether you go on our group trip with Nirupam or you just want us to book you separately. You don't pay anything extra at all. Like you have the guaranteed best price from our agents. They're just so great in figuring out when to go, the rooms, the airfare, how to do the transfers at the airport. They're so great with that. And they know that a lot better than I do.
Have you had any better luck with luggage arriving the same time you do on the same airplane with one or the other?
I haven't, but what we could do is we could ask at the resort because they'll know. But I'm pretty sure that Philippine Air is going to be better.
And Cebu.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what about for the cross-Pacific flight? Do you have a preference between EVA, Philippine Air, Cathay Pacific, or Singapore?
They've flown all those. Philippine Air is a little step below the others.
Mm.
EVA is great, Cathay is great, because Singapore is great. Manila has the direct flights, but it's a step below
Mhm.
Philippine Air, yeah.
Is there seasonality to the diving? Is there a best time of year to go and a worst time of year to go? Like Rajan Pot, we went to Missoula Eco Resort and Rajan
Yeah,
Pot.
so
There's no diving.
I've dove there a few different months. The marine life is there all year. It doesn't go anywhere.
Sure.
So the marine life doesn't change.
Mhm.
Once you get into August to November, you can get more rainy weather.
I
You
see.
could have a chance of a typhoon. The diving's still fine. In
Mhm.
fact, sometimes it's better. There's like octopus season and all of that. But like for nicer weather, I usually try to go December 1st until like July 30th.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is sort of a loaded question, but how different is your diving experience going to be if you're at Atmosphere or if you're at Atlantis?
I mean, they both have good dive operations. You're diving the same sites. I've visited Atlantis. We've run trips there. At Atlantis, they don't have. It's not. You don't have your own private like area for your gear, and they don't bring everything out for you as much. So I think it's a little more work here at Atlantis in terms of getting all your stuff on the boat. But they're both good dive operations.
But
You
it
know,
would
they're
make
very
sense.
different resorts. I mean, Atlantis
Yeah.
is a really solid upper mid-tier resort, and like, you know, everything at Atmosphere, the food, the accommodations, the grounds is a whole step of above. But Atlantis is nicer than most other places. It's just that Atmosphere, it's whole another league.
So if you were going to do a week at each, you better go to Atlantis first and Atmosphere second.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what's the longest you think anyone really enjoys staying before they get dived out?
That's a good question.
I mean, at Atmosphere, when we go, we love the food and the spa and the snorkeling so much. Like, I'll just do less dives and I won't want to leave. I mean, 3 weeks would go by like that. I mean, just.
Yeah.
And in terms of the thing is that there's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of dive sites, a lot, and even a lot of dive sites at Apo. So you'd be hard pressed. I mean, definitely 2 weeks is not a problem, and you still not really repeating that much. I mean, not repeating anything, you know.
Yeah. That's great. I just got back from 3 weeks at Wakatobi,
Yeah.
and that was just about the right length.
Okay. Okay, great. Andrew, you had a question?
When you take your camera and all the stuff, I assume, well, a lot of people use Pelican cases or something like that.
Not
Is it
really
one
too
you
much
check
anymore,
or
but
one you carry? Maybe tell me, how does one deal with all this equipment?
you mean
The more
flying,
fragile stuff.
flying or getting to the boat?
Well, both, but more flying.
Flying, most people use what's called a think tank roller bag. It's a soft padded bag, but it's legal for carry-on for airlines. So most housings and strobes and dome will fit in there. And then you just roll it with a long handle.
So people aren't checking the whole thing in big
Not
boxes.
anymore. No, most people use a Think Tank International bag, and you know, if you know, the staff at my store, Bluewater Photo, are great. They can recommend these bags. They can look at your gear and see which one is right. But I love the Think Tank International with the long handle. So
Okay, I have one. I have an airporter.
yeah. So just question, who's considering going with Nirupam on this trip in the end of June, early July? Who's thinking of going? Andrew,
I'm 20%, 10 or 20. I'm low chance just because I'm new at this. But it sounds really great, but I might go the next year or something.
Okay.
Or something.
Jeannie, when are you thinking of going?
I've got a group that I'm the scout to report back to them, but we're looking for 3 weeks in May.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, you know, we can easily arrange that and, you know, give you some options, prices, and make sure you guys have a great time and you're well taken care of.
This has really been helpful. I want to thank you guys.
No problem.
Yeah, lots of good hardcore information that I think you've been pretty candid about the pluses and the minuses. And of course, the pictures are spectacular.
Yeah. And, you know, we book at Celaya a lot. We book at Atlantis a lot. So we work with all the resorts in the Philippines and other areas. So if you have any special needs or concerns, we can change our advice and be like, okay, maybe you should go here instead, right? So just keep that in mind, that we are completely neutral and we just look to offer the best advice.
That's great. Well, thank you for your time today.
Yeah. What about everyone else? Henry, Kathleen, what are you guys thinking of going?
It looks totally awesome, but we just booked a trip to Dominica in January, so I don't know if we can swing June in the Philippines. It looks amazing. It looks a lot like Indonesia.
Okay.
But we'll see. Hopefully we can squeeze it in at some point.
Someday we'll go.
All right.
Yes,
Kathleen, how
awesome
about you?
pictures.
Yeah, it was good that you explained all the stuff. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Well, then I think we're done. Really appreciate everyone coming. If you ever have any questions, you could always reach me, Scott, at bluewaterdivetravel.com. And I hope you guys will consider us for whatever your next trip is at Bluewater Travel. Nirupam also runs our photo store, our sister company, Bluewater Photo, that I founded. So if you ever need underwater camera gear, I hope you go to that. And again, thanks for coming. Aquatic Explorer and Kathleen, thank you guys also for attending. And I hope this presentation was helpful.
It was great. Thank you. I bought my camera from Bluewater and I'm very satisfied with it.
Awesome, Henry. We're glad to hear that.
OMDEM1 with the housing, Nautica housing. It's been great. Thank you.
Appreciate you being a customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was with Tommy.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks,
Tommy.
Andrew.
That's not-
Appreciate you being a customer.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Scott and Nirupam, for the presentation. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you so much. All
All right.
right.
Bye,
Next
everyone.
one.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a great day.
Bye all.